Welcome back, guys. I failed to mention my name in the last video. My name is Nefreteri, and this is the second video I'm making about abortion. The last one was about the fundamental truth of life. This one is necessary. I'm not hearing as much about it as I would like, or it's not being presented in the way that I would like it to be presented. I said in the last video that there is a massive deception. Well, I believe so. When I was doing my research, a lot of things weren't adding up. There was a lot of contradictions, and there's just basic things in society that I just don't think are aligning. And so I am a woman. I am on the side of women. I do not wish to lose any of the hard-earned rights that women have strove for all these years, rights that we should have been given at the birth of this nation, with all humans being created equal. Okay? So I don't believe in going back, but that's exactly what I think abortion is. And I'm going to give you an argument as to why. I'm going to give you a lot of things today about why I think the feminist movement is actually moving us backwards. We're actually losing rights because we're losing dignity. But you've probably never been presented with it this way, so here I am to tell you. So there's something I really, really, really hate, and it's really bad arguments. And so the pro-choice movement has a very weak argument, and you can always tell a weak argument. Weak arguments start with exceptions or arguments that provide a lot of emotion, so you get overwhelmed. So the pro-choice movement really likes to hang out with outliers and what they call on the fringe. Things that aren't really the norm, but that's what they're fighting with. And so that's a really weak weapon, and it really, really bothers me. And so just to make a comparison, just imagine in the United States of America, if we changed all of the cars in America to accommodate people who have disabilities. Would that make any sense? Absolutely not. It really has got to change in America, this newfound thing where we make sweeping wholesale changes to laws based on a minority. You make accommodations for a minority. You don't make sweeping changes for the majority. Okay? So this argument for pro-choice, they always stick to the outlying things, and it is rape, incest, danger to a mother, disabilities. So I did some research. I said, how many people are really affected by this? And I am compassionate to those people. I understand we're talking crimes in there, okay? And criminal activity should be prosecuted. So I'm compassionate, but it's not enough for the argument. So I looked up the numbers, and the statistics are right there online, and I'll show them. And so let's kind of scroll through them here. Most people who are getting abortions, it's for financial reasons. 40% say that they just can't afford to have, or they believe they can't afford to have a baby. 36% say it's timing. It's just not a good time for them. And actually all of these things, it's not just one thing. Some people had multiple reasons why they were having an abortion. 31% say that it was partner related. So maybe they don't have a good partner. Their boyfriend or significant other or husband, whatever, is not supportive. Maybe they don't want to have a child either. Or maybe they're not just providing finances, all kinds of things. And then other reasons. And I said, okay, it's about 1% is rape, and I think it was 0.5 is incest. Now, I know the name of the game, as I said, in America right now is change laws for the minority, but that's just not, it just doesn't hold. It's just not proper. So you make accommodations for them. So the next issue that I found that's highly disconcerting is who's having these abortions. So it is predominantly Black people first, Hispanics, and then white women, and then from there, Asians mixed in onwards. 85% are unmarried women. That makes logical sense. And how about this harrowing statistic, which correlates to a past statistic? It says 42% live under the federal poverty line. Well, didn't it say that 40% of women say that they have financial reasons, that's why they have an abortion? So that would make sense that they are living under the poverty line, right? Yeah, it does. So what's the problem? Did you guys all see the problem that I saw? Let's talk about society. We're living in a society right now where more and more people are pushing back family, marriage, and having children later and later and later. There are some who are just straight up opting out. Now, if you go online or you talk to people, they will have a variety of reasons. You can just go on social media and read people's comments. Some people will say, oh, I want to be a free bird and I want to travel for the rest of my life. I don't want to be hankered with a kid. Then you will get some people who will be like, oh, having a baby is a luxury for the rich. We can't even afford to have a baby. It's so expensive. I would love to have one, just can't have one. And now that I'm getting older, more and more of my friends are having children, and it's completely changed my mind about birth and pregnancy. So, when I was in my 20s, I was probably one of those free birds who said, well, yeah, who wants to have kids? But you're probably just not really thinking about it. Some are, and some aren't. Just depends on, I don't know, if you're more career driven and whatnot. But even the friends I had who were career driven, pretty much all of them want kids. And once I see them have a baby, you see, that's what happened. It completely changed everything. And I started looking at it online. We cannot deny how many women absolutely love being pregnant. You see, it was crazy statements. People like Mila Kunis as an actress saying that, she's finally found what she was supposed to be, a mother. Halle Berry said she had her first kid and she said, I wish I had started younger. This is what I was supposed to be. You have these women who are coming out with these bold statements saying they had found their purpose, their raison d'etre was to be a mother. Now, that information contradicts abortion. See, what I'm gathering is that people are almost forced into abortion. What I'm gathering is most women who get pregnant would like to keep their child. But because of financial constraints, they are aborting them. And so I wish to present middle class and lower women with some information, because I fervently believe that you're being duped. Let me present it to you. This is my issue. I know women want to have babies. Most of them do. Okay, I know that there are some. There are some, also the outliers. I'm talking to the majority. Majority of people would like to have a family. I know there is a full-blown attack on the home and the family. What do people want? Many people have always desired and revered a family. Okay, a husband and a wife, kids, a home, a sense of belonging, a somewhere to go, somewhere to be loved. Okay? Don't tell me that that is not a desire of people, or they wouldn't be out there dating as horribly as they are. People want a sense of belonging. They want something to call their own. And for years, it was an inalienable right for us to all have children and have your own family. Now, poor people aren't getting the families that they want. So not only are you a poor person, but now you don't even get to have a family. You don't even get the right to happiness, which with pursuit of happiness, say what? No, you can't afford to be happy. Not only can you not afford to have all the things that you would like, just basic amenities, and maybe take a vacation every now and then, now you can't even afford happiness in a child, which used to be a human right. Do you see the problem? Well, I haven't presented you with the other side. So the problem here is that there's a group of people who I firmly don't believe they're having abortions. Now, you could say, well, we don't really know. Yeah, we don't really know. It's not like they sit there and tell you and post it on the internet, but there is something that they do post. They post their pregnant bellies. They post their babies. They're having kids all over the place. They post their boyfriends, their ex-husbands, ex-boyfriends, and all the kids that they're having with all these different people. That's right, guys, celebrities. I'm going to nail them to the wall right now, okay? Because celebrities are very, very fascinating, and they're pushed into the face of the general public. Now, if you are a middle class person or poorer, you most likely have never run into a wealthy person, a person who comes from old money. You probably have never met one, nor will you probably ever in the future. But I've met some. I lived in Manhattan. I also lived in London. And I was a bartender. And so I will tell you of one particular story. I was bartending on Park Ave, and an old woman in New York City was having a birthday party. And so she walked in, and then a young boy walked in behind her, and he stopped everybody in his in our tracks. Like, we stopped what we were doing. We heard this boy go, "Grandmother," and everybody turned. And when he passed us, we were like, that boy is so wealthy. That boy lives a completely different life. He does. That boy lives in another universe from us, from the regular American. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with him. It's just he came from a wealthy family. So he probably went to a really great school. So he probably does highbrow things like all wealthy people do. You do not know these people at all. You don't even really see them on the internet. First of all, they do highbrow things. They go to art galleries, galas, operas. They have their own unique parties. You never see these people, but they're there. These are usually somebody who owns a company. They inherited old money from somebody else. Maybe they're royalty. You don't know these people. So who do you know that is rich? Celebrities. You know tons of celebrities. And celebrities are so relatable because they're just like you. The only difference between a celebrity and yourself is what? Money. That's it. Nothing else. Usually, most people who are celebrities are, they used to be middle-class people who, they became an actress, maybe somebody found them when they made music. Nowadays, you could be a YouTuber or really just anything. It's almost like hitting the lottery. Now they're a rich person. And so it doesn't matter what kind of upbringing they had. They probably had an upbringing very similar to yourself, but now they have money. And so you look to these people, they talk just like you. They don't talk like an uppity person. They talk street. They do drugs, they drink alcohol, they do all kinds of things. And you're like, oh, wow, these people are super relatable. And then, I'm going to stick with women because this is the problem. You are exported an ideology of what it is to be a woman in the United States of America. So you get this woman, she gets butt implants, and you go, I've gotta get a bigger butt. And so what do? You spend thousands of money to put implants in your butt? Or your chest. You go in and you get botched lip fillers because you can't afford the doctors that they have. So you attempt to do the things that they do, but you can't afford to do the things that they do. What else do they export? Their lives in your face. Now, you may think you are not indoctrinated or even the things that they do, you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I get it. They're famous. No. All of that seeps into your mind. You see it all the time and it influences you. It does. That's why you have the term influencers. And so what do you see these rich people do? You see people like Taylor Swift have, who knows, 20 plus boyfriends and still not married. And you go, yeah, that's the way to go. I love her. You look at all of the Kardashians. Some of them with husbands, some without, some with multiple ex-husbands, and totally broken homes, multiple kids, and what do you say? Hey, that works for me too. And so you attempt to live a similar lifestyle, but then it doesn't work for you. And you're like, why? You get pregnant and you go, oh man, I really wanted a baby, but I can't afford this baby. Have you ever seen some of these women nowadays, celebrities, who they'll meet a guy and then after they've been dating for like 2 months, they'll get pregnant and next thing you know, they're like, I'm having a baby. Could you imagine? Could you imagine meeting a guy, getting pregnant in 2 months, and then saying, I'm having a baby? How many women do you think would keep the baby? You would look at your bank account and be like, oh my goodness, I wanted a baby, but I can't keep this baby. How many celebrities do you think will get rid of their baby? Almost none. They'll keep their baby. So now you have these rich people, they keep their children because they're not like, as I said, they're not like those old wealth kind of people. Those people who are like business people wealthy, they usually have like one kid. And do you ever wonder why? You probably aren't even interested in them because you're like, oh, I have nothing in common with them. Well, they work. Like, they work lots of hours. They have goals, I should say. They're not like an actor or a singer. And I'm not disparaging those types of careers. What I'm saying is, if you're an actor and you're not working in a movie, then what do you think they're doing? Do you think they're at home working on their business plan? Usually not. They're just at home. Singers, if they're not on tour, do you think they're always in the studio making songs? They should be learning how to play instruments and other things, but they're not. So they have a lot of time. Tons of time to have kids and be with their kids. Most wealthy people who are like business related wealthy, they don't have all the time in the world to do that. Maybe they're more focused on their business, so they don't go off and have 5 children. But you see it all over Hollywood. People with huge families, which is very similar to what other group of people, poorer people, have a tendency to have more children. Because people have equated children with happiness. Now, some people, they say, oh, I don't think kids are a blessing, they're annoying. Yes, you're entitled to your opinions, and maybe that is your experience. From what I have seen, most mothers and even fathers thoroughly enjoy having their children. I mean, it gives them a lot of purpose in life, and that's another thing. I'm glad I brought that up. The longer I have lived, I have noticed something. There are people who say they don't want to have kids and that, they'll have it later in life, or maybe they won't even have kids because they don't need them. Now that I'm older and I'm in my 30s, I have noticed that people in their 30s have a tendency to do nothing with their lives. Literally, most middle-class people don't do much. They don't travel a lot. I mean, there's limited funds for you to go and travel the world. And you also have to have a job. And so if you don't have passive income like that, then this is not a social media life. You don't just go out and travel all the time. And so people who thought they didn't want kids, they don't get it. Kids give most people on this planet purpose. Most people will not go out and change the world and be politicians or be statesmen, be anybody like an inventor or something. Most people will not do that. And I'm not saying that that makes anybody lesser than another person. What I'm saying is those things take time. So if you're a person and you're like, I don't know what my purpose is, I have met too many mothers now who they say that their purpose is their children. And to me, I understand it. I get it. I said, sure. I've met women who have full-blown careers who said, if I could stay at home and take care of my kids all day, I would gladly do it. I would love to spend all my time with my babies. I've heard it from too many people now. So I think that says a lot. I think it does. And I think it's a travesty that's being taken from poor people. You can't afford a child, but you want a child. And so you have these pro-choicers pushing on you. You don't want a baby. Have an abortion. Abortion allows you to have your rights. So let me tell you what I read about why women should have abortions. This is from the pro-choice side. They say the ability to decide whether and when to become pregnant and parent is crucial to determining one's own life's path, pursuing personal and professional goals, and safeguarding economic security. I would say true. I mean, for the most part, I'd say true. Sure. Next sentence. Access to abortion enables women to complete high school and higher levels of education, improves labor force participation, and enables economic independence. And that's from the National Women's Law Center. That second half, I would say, is flat out false. You're claiming that women need to have abortion so that they can move on in life because it causes disparity between the people who are getting pregnant, like Black women who are poor, and people who have more money. I am going to politely very much disagree. When Roe versus Wade was overturned, women would ask me, they were all angry. So some would ask me, they'd be like, "You're not upset about Roe versus Wade being overturned?" And I said, "Well, no." I said, "It doesn't affect me." "No, like it affects all women." I said, "No, it doesn't." I said, being overturned didn't affect me, and when it was initiated didn't affect me. I said, abortion has never affected me because I never needed to have an abortion. So that is like the big thing in the air that's just not being spoken about. Well, if you don't get pregnant, then you don't need to have an abortion, right? And so you're saying, well, yeah, well, how do you prevent having a baby? How do you prevent getting pregnant? I think we know that there's a variety of ways. There's loads of contraceptives. And then one would say, well, they don't always work. I don't know. Maybe don't have sex with totally random people. Yeah, actually care, actually engage in preventative measures. I am actually going to make a separate video on just this because it is a long enough topic to talk about. But there are other ways to not get pregnant so that you can continue your life and obtain your professional goals in life. You can without having an abortion. But I need to talk about one more thing with regards to poor women, or us poor middle class, lower class women. There's another form of exploitation going on, and it's making a buzz right now, and that's what I hate about celebrities. They really make a buzz. So not only can richer people have the family of their dreams, right? They can get pregnant, doesn't matter who the father is or if he's going to be available or not, and they can have their kid because they may fight for child support, but most of them don't need child support. It's not like they can't put, a shirt on Johnny's back when he's little or diapers. No, they can. They would just want child support for the basic principle of it. You may have a kid and not be able to buy diapers or formula or whatever it is that you need to buy for a baby. So the next offense from these rich celebrities is this pushing of surrogacy, making it into this viable option. Oh, well, I couldn't have a baby because I had trauma in my past, or because, I'm sick and so, I'm not going to be able to have a baby. So we have a great surrogate. We found a great carrier. She's really wonderful that we can talk to. Do you understand the implications of surrogacy as well? At the beginning of this video, I said I am here for women. I do not want us to regress in our rights. And so the fact that there are women who are actually exploiting other women is absolutely disgusting. So you have these celebrities. They already have kids, most of them. And now they're using surrogates. Who do you think the surrogates are? They never mention them by name, obviously for privacy reasons, obviously. They never mention them. So are they a person? Oh, they must be. Yes, they must be a woman. Do you think they're rich? Do you think a rich woman is a surrogate? You can already answer it. Everybody, 100% of people say no. Why? Because there's a lot of risk in having a baby. And so now you have this rich celebrity. We just got Ozempic, right? So you can't even afford Ozempic to get the body of your dreams. They have Ozempic. They can afford it. And then I guess if they had a baby, they can take Ozempic. If they don't even want to go through the 9 months and all the changes, now they can just export their baby and have another woman who's poor, yes, pay them, who knows, $150,000 for 9 months of holding a baby, and then they get a baby. Their body doesn't have to change. They don't have to do any work. And it's like a little stork, just drops it off. And do you think that they pay for you to get your body back? Do you think they pay for you to have a gym membership and then, maybe a trainer to get you back in shape after the 9 months? Do you think they pay for all of that stuff? Or do you think they leave you high and dry? You think so? Craziness. And so I was looking at Kim Kardashian. I don't care if she can't have a baby. She already had 2 or 3 or whatever at the time. So you can't just naturally say that it stops. No, you must add more children to your broken family. While there are poor people who can't even afford to have their one child. And so you get to use a poor woman to procreate for you. Wonderful. Paris Hilton, another offender. She said because she had trauma in her past. Well, then I suppose you shouldn't be having a baby. Because of your past trauma, now you get to export to a poor woman and she gets to carry your children for you? There's all kinds of problems with surrogacy. And so surrogacy is actually illegal in many countries. Commercial surrogacy, to actually getting paid, is illegal in Canada, the UK, Denmark, New Zealand, Australia, and Brazil. Then there are countries that prohibit it all out. Full France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Bulgaria. In France, they said this: the human body is not lent out, it's not rented out, and it's not sold. Because, you see, surrogacy is very similar to like prostitution, kind of like slavery. You're sitting there renting yourself out like you're a commodity. Now you can rent out a womb as an incubator. And then they use the inhumane terms. They call a woman who's a surrogate a carrier. But then when you want to talk about an abortion, you're like, oh, a woman is just an incubator for a fetus. She's not a person. Well, you're using the same language. It's completely contradictory. Do you see when you're contradicting yourself? And who loses in all of this? Always the poor woman. Always the poor woman. I had a friend, I'd never met anybody who was a surrogate, but I had a friend whose sister was a surrogate, and she told me that she suffered depression after the baby was taken from her. Because what do you think? So you're holding a baby inside of you for 9 months. It's called a mother-child connection, right? That child hears the mother's voice, and then you just take the kid like it's a commodity, and you go, oh, well, there's a contract. Sell your kid. It should totally be illegal in the United States of America, but America gives it to the state courts and says the state can determine if it's legal or not legal. Well, when all the states are connected, you could just have it illegal in your state and then, get a surrogate from another state and then still get your baby. And then there's other horrible implications to it. What if a sex offender had enough money and they wanted to, pay a surrogate enough money to get a baby? Now he's got a baby. What would you do for money? When you're exploiting a woman who desperately needs money, she'll think about her own life, not the life of a baby. Some of these things should just be illegal. Poor women. I know you would love to have a family, you'd love to have a home, you'd love to have children. And it's being taken from you, and people are telling you that abortion is the answer. So now only rich people are allowed to be happy. They're allowed to be rich. They're allowed all that greatness, and you're allowed nothingness in this life. Don't believe that lie. Now, as I said, I have to make another video because that doesn't solve our problem. No, you should not be getting abortions. But then there's the issue of, why are you even getting pregnant. And I believe that that has to do with the education system, because poor people are also not educated properly. I should say not necessarily just poor, but like poorer. So the education system, it's just not available to people who are not as rich. You have to dig for it now. The internet has too much information on it, so you don't even know what to look for. I am going to address that in my next video.
I've been educated, my enemies make sure